Welcome viewers, welcome to the new lesson from Dr. Arts Biology. If you did not subscribe the channel, you can just click on the subscribe button and bell icon. Welcome students. In this video, we will be just discussing about the hexose sugars, that is glucose and fructose in details. Okay, first of all, the hexose sugar, in that hexose sugar, the glucose. So hexose, and in that we are just discussing the glucose first. So we'll be discussing in this way the structure, both the linear and the ring structure, and the function of glucose, and then the fructose, its structure, both linear and the ring structure, and its function. So we'll be moving in this way. So we can see that the glucose, the hexose sugar, it's an aldehyde. So let us see hexose. So it contains 6 carbon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it is an aldose sugar. Therefore, it contains aldehyde group at the first position. Okay. And you have to keep in mind, in case of the glucose, the third carbon will be having its OH on the right side of the molecule. So OH, H. So if you want to know how to remember this structure, you can just watch, as I told you before, the other lesson, how to remember the structures of monosaccharide is already uploaded there in this particular lessons. Okay, so you can see that. So this particular thing, and otherwise all will be having HOH. There is no change in that. Now we want to know how it is actually forming the ring structure. The glucose can form pyranose ring structure, and it is actually 6-membered ring. It's actually 6-membered ring. So one member will be definitely oxygen. So let us see how this will be formed. I am just drawing this particular linear structure in a different fashion. So you can just see it here. So this particular hydroxyl group is our target, and this particular carbon. Okay. So we can see that I am just drawing this particular carbon in this way. Okay. This particular, not this one, I am just drawing in this way, and then coming down the second one, and then the third one, and then the fourth one, and then the fifth one. Okay, so I am just drawing the associated atoms. So we can see that double bond O is there and H is there. Okay, and then whatever in this side you have to keep it down, except for this, because it is again bending, so it will be in the opposite way. Now this particular thing, so we can see that hydrogen hydroxyl group, and in this one we can see that hydroxyl on top because it is there on the right side, and then hydrogen, and in this carbon we can see this one, H on top and the OH down. And in this carbon, you know that this hydroxyl is actually nucleophilically attacking this particular carbon, so it should move towards this carbon, so it is OH. Okay, and what is remaining there? NH is there. I told you, as it is double bending, it will be in the opposite way. So, and what is remaining attachment? The CH2OH. So I am just writing CH2OH here. Now, what is actually happening? This will be attacking this particular carbon, and as a result, a bond will be formed between oxygen and carbon. When a bond is formed between oxygen and carbon, what will happen? This carbon will be leaving the bond with this particular oxygen, and as a result, O- will be appearing. And this oxygen will be just leaving this particular hydrogen. I'm just writing hydrogen this way, in this particular hydrogen, and as a result, this hydrogen will be coming and binding here. So that is what happening, and as a result, finally, what structure will be formed? I'm just drawing the structure there. So you can see that oxygen. I will not be drawing again C. Each junction is actually representing the carbon. Okay, so H, O, and from where this particular H is coming? That red one. I'm just representing with the red one. Okay, and then their remaining structure will be same only. There is nothing, no difference. So CH2OH, H, H, OH, OH, H, H, OH. So this is actually the pyranose ring structures of the glucose. So this is D-glucopyranose. Now it's clear for you, right, how the ring structure is formed. So if you are knowing this particular linear structure, you don't have to worry about the ring structure. You can easily draw it in this way. This hydroxyl group will be attacking this particular carbon. So you can see oxygen is making bond with this carbon, and hydrogen will be released and it will be combining with this particular oxygen. So that is how this ring structure, pyranose ring structure, is formed in case of the glucose. Okay, now let us see the function of glucose. What is the role played by the glucose? Okay, let us see the biological role played by the glucose. Okay, the first one, glucose is actually the immediate source of energy in every organism. We know that whenever an energy requiring process is happening, whenever there is need of production of ATP, glucose is the molecule that is being catabolized to derive the energy. So glucose acts as the immediate source of energy. That is the first important function of glucose. Now, second thing, we can see that brain in higher organism will be using glucose as the only source of energy. There is no other thing that is providing energy for the brain cell. So brain cell depends exclusively on the glucose to derive energy. Okay, so the proper functioning of brain cells in higher organism, it needs glucose. Now the next one, it acts as a storage component, storage molecule, because we know that in case of the plants, starch is the storage product. In case of the animals, glycogen is there. In both starch and glycogen, glucose molecules are interlinked to form the polysaccharides, and that is actually stored. So it acts as the storage product, the monomer of storage products such as glycogen and the glycogen in animals and the starch in case of the plants. Now we can see that it also acts as a structural component of animals and plants. How? We can see that cellulose is the main component of cell wall in case of the plant, and that cellulose is actually formed of the glucose, nothing else. Okay, so it acts as a structural component. Now, how it functions in structural component of the animals? We know that chitin is there. Chitin is actually formed of monomers N-acetyl glucosamine, and actually that is a derivative of glucose. So the glucose is also acting as a structural component of animals and the plants. In case of humans, that it acts as the essential constituent of blood. We know that if your blood glucose level is going down, you will faint. And if your blood glucose level is going up, that also creates some problems. So the blood glucose level is actually a major component in case of the human beings. We know about diabetes, mellitus and all. So if glucose is not there in the blood, the proper functioning of human body will not be happening. So it acts as a major essential constituent of human blood. And now last, we know that photosynthesis is happening in case of the plants. And ultimate product of photosynthesis is actually the glucose, which will be converted to sucrose and then transported, and then it will be stored in the form of starch. So ultimate product, the main product of photosynthesis is actually the glucose, and that is actually the main carbohydrate resource for every organism. So photosynthetic organisms are producing glucose, which form the basis of energy for every organism living on Earth. So that are the major biological role played by the glucose. So let us see the fructose structure and function then. So in hexose, another important sugar is a fructose sugar. Okay, so we know that fructose is a keto sugar, so it's easy to draw the structure of fructose. So hexose, that means 6 carbon is there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 carbon is there. And in that 6 carbon, it's a keto sugar. That means keto group will be there. And we know that keto group will be at the 2nd carbon. So C double bond O. And we have to fill entire carbon as the HOH. And we know that the 3rd carbon of glucose and fructose will be on right side of the molecule. So OH. H, OH, then H, OH, H, OH. So we know that the first and ultimate carbon is now having a valency unfilled, so we will be just filling it with the hydrogen. Okay, now let us see how this particular fructose will be forming the ring structure. How? So this one will be actually forming a furanose ring, and that is actually 5-membered ring structure. Now, why this 5-membered? We know that hexose glucose actually form pyranose 6-membered ring. Then now, why hexose fructose is actually forming a 5-membered furanose ring? Okay, so let us see this ring. We know that the penultimate carbon hydroxyl group is attacking the functional group carbon. So what is the number of carbon in between? 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1 member will be oxygen. So as a result, 4 carbon plus 1 oxygen, it will be definitely forming 5-membered ring. So that is why the reason 5-membered ring for the fructose, even though it is hexose. Okay, so this attack in between, including that, you can see only 4 carbon. In case of the glucose, you can see 5 carbon. 5 plus 1 oxygen, 6 member. Here 4 plus 1 oxygen, 5 member. That's why furanose ring structure is formed. So in order to understand the ring structure, I am just copying this particular thing in this way as we have done it before. So this carbon is the main. So I am just drawing that carbon. And then what is this carbon? And this carbon you have to keep in mind. OH is there on the top. And then C. H is there on the top. And then again C. And this OH is actually involved in bonding, attacking. So I am just drawing that OH. Okay, and we can see the last carbon CH2OH. So this H will be there on down, and the last carbon CH2OH is there. Okay, so here we can see double bond O, and what is there on top? You can find another CH2OH. CH2OH. Okay, what actually is happening? This one is attacking this particular carbon. As a result, this carbon will be just leaving one bond from this oxygen, leaving the oxygen, the negative. And once this bond is formed, this hydrogen will be just left and it will be just binding with this oxygen. And as a result, ultimately, the structure formed will be like this. Where CH2OH, OH, OH, H, H, OH, then CH2OH, H. This is actually the alpha fructofuranose. So alpha fructofuranose. So which is D-alpha fructofuranose. Okay, so hope you got how this particular structure is formed. If you did not get it, again reback. Okay, just revise the video once more, then you will be definitely understanding. Remember that this fifth carbon OH is actually attacking the functional group. As a result, only 4 carbon is available plus 1 oxygen. That's why the furanose 5-membered ring is formed. Now let us see the functions of fructose. The biological importance of fructose is there. So we can see that fructose is actually the fruit sugar. Fruit sugar means the sugar which is present in ripened fruits. And we have to keep in mind that this is the sweetest sugar that is present on earth. And we can see a variety of the fructose, that is levulose, which is actually levorotatory L-fructose, and that is actually present in case of the honey. So this is the sweetest sugar on earth, the honey, that is present in the honey, levulose, which is nothing but the fructose. Okay, now in case of corn and dahlia, we can see that another storage polysaccharide is there, and that is nothing but inulin. Inulin is a homopolymer of fructose, which is actually bonded with a beta-1,2 glycosidic bond. You will be understanding that later. So inulin is there, and the component of inulin is what? The fructose. Okay, so you can just isolate fructose by hydrolysis of inulin, that is isolated from corn and dahlia. So corn and dahlia on sugar on hydrolysis will be just giving you the fructose. So it's a kind of storage sugar in case of the corn and dahlia. That two are the major biological importance of fructose, even though all sugar, all monosaccharides plays a major role in metabolic pathways. So you can just write one function for all carbohydrate, all monosaccharide, and that function is nothing but the metabolic intermediate. You can write it everywhere. So it will be the part of metabolic intermediate in many metabolic reactions that is happening inside your body, inside the organism's body. So that is the third function. Okay, so that function you can add everywhere. So these are the two main functions of the fructose. So that's about the glucose and fructose under the hexose sugar, and that's the end of the monosaccharide. Okay, now let us discuss the different types of oligosaccharide, that is disaccharides, and then polysaccharides, then biological importance of carbohydrates in the upcoming videos. Thank you for watching.